the Detroit Lions at 0-6 at the Los Angeles Rams, who are 5-1. This game preview is brought to you by BetUS. That game kicks off at 1:05 p.m. on Fox. The distribution map was a little not so nice to us today. We'll put it up here for you in a second. But the Rams, I did want to let you guys know, are scheduled to be in their royal jerseys this week. Last week, the Rams were originally scheduled to be in their bone uniforms, but I'm guessing some kind of late shift happened with the Giants as they chose to wear their all whites, or their throwback whites, which forced the Rams to not use a light jersey. Rams had to go with the royal, went with the royal on the yellow pants, which makes me almost think that we were this close to seeing bone on yellow. We didn't get it, but makes me a little bit sad, but it's okay. Let's go ahead and put up that distribution map for you guys. Boom! And what you're looking at here is for the yellow zones. The yellow zones is where the magic is going to happen. If you guys are in that zone, you guys will be able to change your TV to Fox, and you can watch the game right there. And let me see who's on. It's Kevin Kugler, I believe. I'm just going to confirm here real fast. I don't want to give you guys the wrong information. Kevin Kugler and Mark Sanchez will be the commentators. And Fox is on a single again this week. I was a little bit surprised to see that. I thought the Rams were going to get a little bit bigger coverage in this one because I thought that Fox was going to have the doubleheader this week. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Fox is on the single. So we are pretty limited. And with that Green Bay and Washington game, that one's taken up the bulk of the map that you see there. That was the red on there. So the history of this matchup, this will be the 87th meeting between these two teams all time. The Rams do lead the all-time series 44-41-1. So very, very tight, very snug in there. And, you know, I mean, the Rams can kind of build on that. If we can get up to 45 dubs over the Lions all time, that'd be pretty sweet to see. The most recent game between these two came on December 2nd of 2018. That was a 30-16 win for the LA Rams. The first ever game between these two, that came on September 10th of 1937. That's apparently, I don't know why when I say a really old year, I do like old-timey voice, like 1937. I don't know why. I guess that's exactly how they all talked back then. Probably. But that was a 28-0 win for the Detroit Lions over the Cleveland Rams. The Rams also had a 12-game win streak that lasted between 1945 and 1951. And there's a lot of good Rams on those teams between 45 and 51. So makes sense. So in this game here, I mean, we know the biggest storyline. We know that Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff is the story to keep your eyeballs on. You know, that is what we're all watching for in this one. This is a game that we've had circled even before the schedule was even out because we knew the opponents. When this trade happened, it was, you know, we send Jared Goff over to the Lions and a couple of ones to bring in Matthew Stafford. And immediately it was like, oh, wait, we play them this year in LA. Like it was like right away. It was like, I can't wait to see the schedule when this comes out. This is going to be awesome. But, you know, Matthew Stafford was drafted number 1 overall by the Detroit Lions in 2009. And Jared Goff was drafted number 1 overall by the LA Rams in 2016. And that's now swapped. So they're playing against teams who drafted them number 1 overall. And this is, of course, because this trade happened just last year. It was, well, before the Super Bowl, just before the Super Bowl. This is going to be the first time that Goff plays against the Rams, and this is going to be the first time that Stafford plays against the Lions. So that's awesome stuff there. But that's not the only Lion who's a former Ram, because we also got Michael Brockers, who's probably performing the best of all of the former Rams. Also, look at the coaching staff, Aubrey Pleasant, who I've been very vocal about. He's doing an awesome job over there with those corners. You'll hear from Curt Steele here in just a second about the impact that Aubrey Pleasant is having over there with the Detroit Lions. That, by the way, that Curt Steele interview, that will be video only, so only available on YouTube. So if you guys are interested in listening to what Curt Steele has to say about that, make sure you guys tune in on the YouTube channel to the game preview or the full episode. It'll be in both of those. But, and then also Brad Holmes is now the Lions GM. This is his first year as the Lions GM. He was a member of the Rams scouting team, and that whole process of bringing in the new young talent since 2001, all the way up until last year. So he started in St. Louis when the Rams were pretty awesome, honestly. He started there as just a scout and then moved himself all the way up to the director of college scouting. And then now, congratulations, Brad Holmes, because now he's the GM of an NFL football team, and that is the Detroit Lions. And I think that we'll see the Brad Holmes impact over time. Like, we'll see it come to fruition a little bit of what he was able to do for the Rams, because he definitely helped bring in a lot of talent here. I also just wanted to mention these comments. We kind of talked about it earlier just shortly, is that Dan Campbell talking about Jared Goff, and he said that Jared Goff needs to have a little bit more responsibility in this. He needs to do a little bit better. And the part that blows my mind about that is because Jared Goff has now only played 6 games as a Lion. And Dan Campbell's already to this point where he's like, he's got to do better. You know how long it took Sean McVay to get to that point? 3.5 years. I mean, it was a while. It took a while. And a full season and a half of like not amazing Rams quarterback play before he was eventually like, we got to get better performance out of our quarterback. Dan Campbell took him 6 games. And that's not a shot at Dan Campbell. Definitely not. Dan Campbell, I think, is going to be an awesome coach. And I think when he can develop and get his roster in there, I think he's going to be incredible. But I thought that was interesting. And the comparison between Sean McVay and Dan Campbell, they are very different humans. And that's one example, is how fast it took Dan Campbell to call out Jared Goff compared to Sean McVay. Let's go ahead and talk about, or let's have this Curt Steele interview. Curt Steele, great friend of mine, went to college with Curt Steele. He's a Lions mega fan. He does the Die Hard Den podcast. He does the Detroit Lions on the Prowl, does shows all the time, very knowledgeable. And that man, I swear he's got a Lions heart inside of his chest. Here's that interview.
What's going on, Rams fans? I have a special guest with me today, good friend of mine, Curt Steele, host of the Die Hard Den podcast that is on Fan Media, as well as the Detroit Lions on the Prowl. This guy's doing shows all the time, all over the place. One of my very, very good friends, and I've got unconfirmed rumors that inside that Curt Steele chest is an actual beating heart of a lion. An actual lion is in there, all right? So, Curt Steele, man, thanks so much for joining me, first of all. How you doing, dude?
Man, no problem. Wish you could be doing better for the season at 0-6 and looking at 0-7 in the crosshairs. But, we're hanging in there.
Hey, I mean, it's a long season. I know it's a lot of recovery to be had, especially in that tough division with some pretty good opponents. But, we've been looking forward to this one, not only since the schedule came out, but before the Super Bowl. We knew this game was going to happen. The Rams and Lions, big old trade, Stafford for Goff. We all know about it. We talked about it all off season. Me and you have been on this show talking about it before. So we definitely have covered it a lot, but now it's finally here. But I got to ask you, man, we've seen now 6 games of Jared Goff as a Detroit Lion. What are the vibes like on Jared Goff out there?
Bruh, he's getting some heat right now. He's getting it from the fan base. He's getting it from the coaching staff. As you can see, the last few days, coaching staff has not been very complimentary of him. We look at Anthony Lynn, saying he needs to stop turning the ball over. And Dan Campbell's in recent comments saying he needs to pick it up. It's been a tough 6 games for us. Interceptions, fumbles. He's fumbled the ball, I think 6 or 7 times already this season, and we're only at game 6. It's tough right now. And I will say this about Jared Goff and what we gave him coming into the season. He's been kind of hampered with really kind of a low talent base on our wide receiving core. We don't have a lot of big names, and then the guys that we did have that were their top receivers are now out. So, and we know that Jared Goff has a propensity to lock on the targets. So he's been doing that a lot in Detroit, missing some reads, missing some open receivers. And the fan base is getting kind of frustrated with Jared Goff right now.
I'm sure, man. It's I know we've kind of been watching his season. Rams fans have been kind of keeping some eyeballs out on Goff over there. But, Dan Campbell, it took Campbell 6 games to make those comments on Jared Goff. It took Sean McVay 4 years before we got to that point. So yeah. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but that does lead me right into my next question, which is, how long is Jared Goff going to be the Lions starter?
I think he's going to be the starter for the foreseeable future. They have too much invested in Jared Goff right now to kind of move on from him. And looking at the depth chart, we don't have really experienced guys sitting behind Jared Goff. You have David Blau, who has 6 career starts in the NFL. And David Blau, and Tim Boyle, who's hurt right now, he has 0. He has 0 starts in the NFL. So if you look at those two guys behind Jared Goff, it's not looking too promising to bring another guy in right now. So we're gonna have to grin and bear it for the foreseeable future. You know, like some of the Lions fans said this season is gonna be a rebuild. This is gonna be a down year. Our roster's not that talented from top to bottom, so we got to embrace the suck and just go ahead and go through the season. And it's gonna get better because the personnel is gonna improve with the draft capital that we have for the next couple of years. But it's gonna be tough for the rest of this season.
Yeah, I mean, Rams fans definitely know that feeling. The one that you are feeling right now, we all know it. You know, being in that situation where it's like, well, I mean, we could move on to a different guy, but is he better than the guy we have today? Like, how much longer is it going to be, kind of thing? But you know, Jared Goff is not the only former Ram that is playing for the Detroit Lions. What former Ram, and that can include Jared Goff, although I don't know if it will, which former Ram is having the biggest impact on games right now today?
This got to be Michael Brockers, man. He's just the leadership in the locker room, his infectious personality, and his leadership on the sidelines. Definitely, it may not show up on the stat lines, but he's definitely an influence in the defense. He plays hard and he helps those younger guys like we have Aleem McNeil and Levi Onwuzurike, the two draft picks that are getting substantial playing time this year. He's a good influence on those guys and he's making them better.
Yeah, I mean, Brockers is he was always so much fun to watch as a Ram, and he's not a stat guy. And that's what I used to say is the Brockers eats blockers, and he opens it up for everybody else. And his leadership is definitely something that you can feel when you're watching the games. You can tell that his impact is being felt out there, and he's a great person for the young guys like you're talking about. He's a great mentor in that aspect, and I think he kind of was able to take Aaron Donald, a young Aaron Donald, under his wing for a little bit until we realized that Aaron Donald is a space robot. So and then it kind of then they just became an awesome tandem together. But there's also, though, because he's up front, so I know that he's definitely getting pretty heavy use up there in the front, but there's somebody that can't get the heavy use out there because he's actually a coach, and a coach that I am a big fan of. And I want to know, are you able to see any differences in the secondary with now Aubrey Pleasant running that group?
Well, the issue with this, we have a very young secondary and it's riddled with injuries as well. I mean, you look at the talent pool, we have some guys that are playing well above what their expectations are, and that's really due to Aubrey Pleasant. We have Jerry Jacobs, an undrafted free agent, Bobby Price, who was a safety that moved over the corner. Amani Oruwariye has taken that mantle as the number one corner right now, with Jeff Okudah being out for the season, and the replacement for Jeff Okudah, Iffy or Ifanu Malafawu, he's out as well. So, but Aubrey Pleasant's doing the best he can with the talent pool that he has right now. And he kind of did the same thing out there in LA. Took a bunch of mid to lower tier guys or undrafted free agents and gelled them into one of the best secondaries in the league, along with the star like you have Jalen Ramsey. But we don't have that in Detroit yet. But we're working on getting some guys in here. Like I've said this plenty of times. We have kind of what we want in Detroit right now, but not who we want. And we'll start getting who we want and get that talent pool better. But Aubrey Pleasant is doing an excellent job with our young secondary.
Well, and it's unfortunate too that we send you some first round draft picks, but I mean, I hate to be the one that breaks this news to you. Those are just going to be 32nd overall, so it's not going to be good.
Hey, we'll take them because a lot of times those second, third round draft picks fill out a roster. So I mean,
that's true.
It's like getting, we'll take it. You guys don't use them anyway, so we'll go ahead and use them. We'll take it. You'll take
first round picks are for suckers. Yeah, that's what. All right, I got a couple here for you for a fill in the blank. If the Lions win, it's because
the defense stepped up. It has to be the defensive side of the ball. We actually made some stops, and that's going to be tough because our secondary is so young. And Matthew Stafford's such a architect of that offense right now.
You got to think he's going to be up for this one too, man. He's gonna want to show out against Detroit. Yeah. All right, next one here is the Lions' record at the end of the season will be
3-14 right now. That's what my mind's telling me. I picked them to win about 4 or 5 games, 5 to 7 games earlier in the season, but right now I'm like, If it keeps going the way we're going and we're not getting some of the starters back, we're going to be about 3-14.
They've been in some really tight games, losing games in the most Lions way possible.
Yeah.
But do you have any teams that you have picked out of like teams that you think you can beat?
I think we can get the Eagles if we catch them right. We can get the Bears actually, and the Vikings if they come in about the same. Those tough losses that right there at the end. They come to Ford Field. That's a different story. So maybe we can get some of those guys. When they come to Ford Field later on in the season.
Hey, I mean, yeah, those are definitely winnable games for you guys, especially like I said, you guys have been playing some tight ones. So right now the line is 15.5. The last time I checked. In favor of the Rams, of course. I don't think that needed to be said, but I wanted to say it anyway. But what's your score prediction in this one? Do you got one, or do you have a different in this game?
My score prediction for this game is probably about 42-10 Rams.
All right.
I just think that, and I'm never rooting for my team to lose. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I'm looking at being realistic, looking at what Matthew Stafford is doing right now in the season, what we're facing with him in that offense versus what we have in our young secondary, and the issues we have with the deep pass. I think Deshaun Jackson is going to have a field day. I think Stafford's going to go down the field a lot just because we don't have any guys that can cover. Our back end, our safeties on the back end aren't well in coverage, aren't good on deep coverage. And you look at the speed you guys have at the wide receiver position based on, and against our, young secondary. I said it's going to be a miracle if Matthew Stafford doesn't set probably the single season passing record for the Rams, if not in the league.
I mean, yeah, we'll have to see what happens. We got a big one, though. Detroit Lions at the LA Rams. Matthew Stafford was the number 1 overall pick by the Detroit Lions in 2009. Jared Goff, first overall pick of the LA Rams 2016. Actually, the most recent first round pick of the Rams. So, we got a big homecoming battle here. Jared Goff coming into LA. Michael Brockers, Aubrey Pleasant. I believe Nickel Roby-Coleman's there too. Is that correct?
Yes, Nickel Roby-Coleman is there. He was elevated to the 53-man roster last week. So, we'll see if he's actually active for this game. He was not. He was inactive on Sunday, but we'll see if he gets the call on Sunday.
Hey, he helped us out quite a bit, get to a Super Bowl. I don't know. I didn't see any yellow, so I'll take it. But thank you, man, so much for talking with me. I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Anytime.
Massive thank you to Curt Steele for that one. Curt Steele is the man. Talking Lions. This should be a fun one for us. This is the first time that we've been able to, in our friendship, to really have a Rams-Lions game. So that's good stuff. Let's talk about the matchup in this game. We'll start with the Rams offense against the Lions defense. The Rams offense, top 10 unit, except for in the run game. But that first half running has been, a little sparse, I guess, you could say. But top 10 total, top 5 in passing. Thank you to Matthew Stafford there. And then putting up almost 30 points a game. So that's, you obviously want to see that. 30 points a game. If you can do 30 points a game, you're a good football team. On the other side, for the Lions here, near the bottom on most of these, they are pretty decent against the pass. But like Curt said, that they are a little bit susceptible to that deep ball. So that's something to keep an eye on there. And they're giving up almost 30 points a game as well. So if the Rams are able to put up 30 in this game, that should not blow any minds whatsoever. That's exactly what the Rams are supposed to do here. The Rams should be able to move the football against the Detroit Lions, but the games are not played on paper. They are played on a football field, a gridiron, and that's where this action will have to happen and unfold on Sunday. So we'll see if these averages unfold that way and if the Rams are able to get that run game going. I know I say it every single week, but once again, the Rams play against a team who struggles against the run. Can Hendo get a 100-yard game? Can Hendo get a 100-yard game? We'll see what happens there. But the Rams offense definitely has a good matchup here. And the Rams pass offense has taken a leap. And I don't think it's reached its potential yet because we're still seeing a few misfires from Stafford. We're seeing a little, some minor miscommunications in places. But that's kind of stuff that should develop over the course of the season and improve over the course of the season. So I don't think that this passing offense, which is currently 4th in the NFL, I don't think it's even reached its potential yet. So that's some good news. Let's take a look at the other side of the football here, which is the Lions offense versus the Rams defense. Rams defense had their averages jump a little bit here, but no, at first they were Last week they were giving up over 400 yards per game. So that strong performance against the New York Giants was able to bump those numbers. Jared Goff and that Lions offense passing the football is just 25th in the NFL. The Rams defense 21st. So if Goff put up about 240 in this one, 245, that would align with some averages and would make sense for a Jared Goff day. The Lions, though, not really getting the ground game going that much, just 23rd in the NFL. Rams doing a pretty good job against the run, actually, as well as in points against. So if you see that there, the averages, so like about 18 for the Lions and then about 21 for the Rams. So if this game ended 30-20, that would make sense with all those averages. But, the Rams defense, like I said, they jumped a lot out of this last game against the Giants. Had a very just strong performance, honestly, against the Giants. So that's a good thing to see. You want to see that keep on improving, and this 3-game stretch here is kind of a perfect situation to get that going. And Jared Goff and the Lions, they're struggling to get it going for sure. We've heard the comments from Lions fans. They're not exactly stoked out of their minds right now about Jared Goff. There's a lot of times that he's fumbling. They're calling him names, this stuff like that. Like we say, the Goffle offense and stuff like that. It's I feel for him. I feel for Jared, man. But at the same time, I don't hope he lights us up this week. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't hope he lights us up. Let's go ahead and get into the 3-2C. This one, we'll just take a quick look back at the New York Giants game. We had Darrell Henderson, who had 21 carries for 78 yards and a tutty. He played fine, picked up a lot in the second half. We've got kind of grown accustomed to that with Darrell Henderson. He does do better in the second half. We also took a look at the secondary, and Daniel Jones went 29-51 for 252. He had 0 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions, and was sacked 4 times. So, great performance there. Sterling Shepard was the top target for the Lions. He had 10 receptions on 14 targets, but for 76 yards, so 7.6 yards per catch. That is low for an NFL wide receiver. To only get 7 yards per reception, that feels weird. I mean, because if a guy like Cooper Kupp has 10 receptions, he's usually way up there. Speaking of Cooper Kupp, 9 receptions, so less than Sterling Shepard, but 130 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. Giving him, he's on fire, guys. Cooper Kupp is playing some great ball. Second in the NFL in receiving yards. He is just 15 yards behind Devontae Adams of the Green Bay Packers, and he is currently first in receiving touchdowns with 7. There's 3 tied at second with 6. Let's take a look at this game, though, versus the Detroit Lions. First one, obviously, is quarterback Matthew Stafford. Stafford is finally playing against the Detroit Lions for the very first time in his career. He will likely, if we had to guess, based on what we've already seen so far just in a couple of games, he will probably be a little emotional in the beginning of the game, might have some misfires, might try to do too much, but I think he calms down at halftime and starts lighting them up. Number 1 overall pick in 2009 by the Detroit Lions. The Rams did not get a shot at him. I wish we could have drafted him, because that was right in the era where we were passing on quarterbacks, and I was like, can we please take one of these guys? And then we ended up getting Bradford. So it's like, hey, finally we take a quarterback, and then it didn't work out. But Matthew Stafford now an LA Ram. He found his way. He found his way. It's fine. Next up here, I'm going to have Jalen Ramsey. He's felt quiet in the last couple games here, but my real question here is Jared going to test Jalen? I don't know. I don't know if that's even going to be a thing, or if it's definitely going to be a thing. I don't know if Jared's going to be like, oh, I'm going to get Jalen on one of these. I know what to do. I'll get him on one. So I'm going to have Jalen Ramsey here as one to watch. Let's see if Jared Goff will test him. Ramsey versus Jared Goff in his career, just 1 game, 3 tackles, 0 interceptions. That was 2017. Rams defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-17. Jared Goff, though, even though Jalen Ramsey only had 3 tackles and 0 interceptions, Jared Goff threw for a whopping 124 yards that day. My last one here on 3-2C is going to be Aaron Donald. For the first time in his career, Donald will play against Jared Goff in live action. Live action. His entire career, Aaron Donald's needed to be real gentle with Jared Goff because he's only seeing him in a red jersey in practices. Not anymore. There's going to be a white jersey because we're in Royal. There's going to be a white jersey, and he's free game. Free game. Well, it's as free game as you can get in today's NFL, which is not as free game as we would like it to be. but it's all good.
Thank you guys sincerely for making it all the way to the end of this clip. I love it. I love it so much. Myself, Sheriff Joe Bags here, and Mike and Reggie, we all thank you guys for the support. Can't even tell you guys how much I appreciate you guys. If you guys want to support more, make sure you guys subscribe on this side here, and you guys can see all this stuff all the time. But this was just a little taste, just a little flavor. If you guys want the whole entree, full podcast, right on this side. Peace. Go Rams.